Are you feeling overwhelmed by the amount of data coming your way? Are you feeling paralyzed when you want to be making decisions? In this video, I go through what mental models are and how they can help you understand what the world is made of, and also how you can use those mental models to make efficient decisions for what matters in your life. And I will use money as a topic, money decisions, as a way to explore the different categories of mental models. Money might be a topic on your mind. And in the next few weeks, I will be going through some of the key mental models and how they can be applied in your life. Let's get you a brain upgrade so you can take a clearer and happier path. My name is Greg Angelbert. I've had about a 20-year corporate career, and I went from being a trainee to a vice president managing director of a business, and from managing myself to about 1,000 people. Today I'm a master coach, and I help people, teams, organizations to know themselves, to design their future selves, and to become their future selves. A mental model is a cognitive framework or mental representation that individuals use to understand, interpret, and navigate the world around them. In other words, it's a way to see reality and a tool to make better decisions. Mental models have a variety of forms. They can be images, they can be theories, metaphors, concepts, or stories. They are shaped by our individual experiences, culture, education, beliefs. And we are not even always aware that we are using those mental models, because they can be internalized to the point of just being subconscious. So why are mental models important in life? The first reason is that mental models simplify the management of complex information. Data that you receive needs to be organized, classified, understood, so you can make sense of it. That allows for more efficient and quicker decisions. The second reason is that they offer a framework for seeing how different elements interact within a system or a situation. That's important for seeing patterns, connection, cause and effect relationships. The third reason is that if you have multiple mental models available for you for a specific situation, it will give you different options, different opportunities and ways to address it. We all have biases, for instance, which are all mental models, and they might limit us to very specific behaviors in some situations. The fourth reason is that mental models can be detailed tools, which gives you a step-by-step approach for solving a problem, finding a solution. The fifth reason is that mental models are numerous and they evolve. Some work forever, some others do not, and some need to be changed or thrown away. You have to go with that flow. In some ways you have to direct it, and that helps you to cultivate a mindset of continuous growth, learning, curiosity. The first point is, what is the focus that you have when you want to make better decisions? You can ask yourself, what's the goal of your life? What do you want to achieve? What are your aspirations? You're not sure? Start by clarifying what it is, and you might want to check this video to know how to do that. One typical answer that I get from people when I coach them about where they want to go in their life is that they want to be content, they want to be happy, and they want to find some peace of mind. That's an example of an outcome that you would like to achieve, and you will go through life with making decisions about it. Mental models are there to give you a specific and structured way of getting to this outcome that you want in your life. Here's a framework for applying mental models to your life decisions. The first step is to clearly define the decision that you want to make. Then the second step is to consider what are the mental models which are relevant to this decision. For that you need a list of mental models and what you can use them for. We'll come to that. As a third step, now that you have a mental model, make sure that you understand it closely. Study it and see how it's been applied in the same context that you have. Then as a fourth step, analyze the situation with the mental model. Here you can consider potential risks, perspectives, implications, then generate alternative options, solutions through the mental model. And finally, the model will help you usually to evaluate those options and find some pros, cons, etc. To make it easier to understand mental models, it is good to put them into categories that explains where they come from. Simmons has done tons of research about mental models, and you can see the pictorial representation of what he thinks are the 12 most important categories of mental models. The first one is learning how to learn. Those are models around getting the best value out of the time you spend learning. Then you have meta-tool usage and creation. This is how to use tools in the best way possible in life. Humanity exists because of our tools. Then you have goal setting. Here you have models for how to best set goals so you're on the right path. Cause and effect, getting more leverage of your actions, getting to the root cause. Prioritization, which is learning to do what matters most to you. Compound interest, technically it's a submodel of cause and effect, but it's a universal one that explains exponential growth and the power of repeating small steps. Behavior change, which is turning your intentions into consistent habits. Cognitive biases, which is identifying the automatisms that we have as humans so you can see them and improve your decisions. Network building. When you know networks, you know patterns, which gives you predictability of outcomes. Problem solving, which is looking for problems and solving them better. The scientific method, which is principally a method that helps relentlessly look for facts. Opportunity, which is how to grow your awareness of opportunities and how to develop them. There's a much more extensive list that Michael Simmons has created and based on the best thinkers in the world, past and present. Check out the link in the description below if you want to know more about that. You like this video so far? Then you know what to do, and subscribe, put the notifications on if you want to receive content like this every week. And check out all the resources which are in the description below, and that will help you to understand better and to learn more about mental models. The biggest problem with mental models is that there are so many of them. And at the same time, you only need a few well-chosen ones to have a massive impact on some decisions in your life. Finally, here we can actually use Pareto as a mental model to narrow down what we need to look at for mental models. What we want is to identify the 20% of mental models which are going to create the 80% positive impact in the way you make decisions. And this can be different for any of us because moments in our life will require different mental models. As an example, I will give you some of what I consider my universal mental models to help me navigate life in general. The first one starts with physics, and it's about thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, which I translate into a view of life, which is that everything is about transferring, it's about exchanging. And I derive from that something which is related to my value of fairness, is that if somebody has so much more than somebody else, then there is an imbalance. The second law is about the fact that the entropy of the universe will always increase over time. That's a bit heady stuff. I translate this into a simple view of life, which is that in life, most things will eventually return to normal. If you're super happy right now, that won't last. And vice versa. So I've learned to appreciate life through the variation of feelings, not with seeking highs or avoiding lows. Compound interest. I'm not explaining the mathematical concept here, but you have a simple representation of that on your screen with the curves. It's applicable to an awful lot of things in life. Not only investment, with the power of investing regularly and slowly, it's also applicable to gaining new knowledge and experiences. Those compound give you a larger return year by year. Or habits that you have, healthy habits that you have, which only pay off over a long period of time. To remember this one, you can think of the fact that Rome was not built over a day. For the next one, it's a new bias, something that I will try to coin it here. I call this bias winning the lottery. This is a wishful thinking that if something truly amazing and lucky happens to your lives, then your life is going to change for the better. It's effectively a mix of wishful thinking, the grass is greener out there, unwarranted optimism, and also a fixed mindset. The main reason why I'm fighting hard against this bias and this way of doing things is that it makes you irresponsible for your life. You're just waiting for something good to happen to you to change your life. Here I apply the concept of personal agency, the power of choices, and also from Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, where we can see that there is meaning everywhere in our life, and we can find this meaning, we can see this meaning, and we can make the choice to live the lives that we want to live. Finally, value comes from what is rare. This helps me set levels of expectation and also my level of consumption. If there's something that I really like and I have it too often, well, eventually I don't like it that much. If I spend too much time with my partner, I'm not gonna appreciate our time together enough. Oops, did I just say that? As we talked about, mental models are applicable to a lot of areas in life. For some of them, you will hear about them a lot on social media, on books, articles, because it's something that seems to be working at the moment, or it's something that works for people who are successful at achieving their aspirations in life. That's a good starting point to get to know mental models. You can listen to people like me, or Michael Simmons, or other people on YouTube who are specialists about mental models. But listening is not doing. The only way to know if those mental models are working out for you is to test them. And for that, you can actually use the mental model of the scientific method to know the different steps that you should use for a good experiment. Let's pick the example of how you invest your money as a way that we can navigate the different type of mental models that you can go through. The experimental method here is going to be about picking the mental models, it's about knowing about them, experimenting with them, and eventually getting some feedback so you can make better decisions and improve your choice of mental models. When we're talking about investment, the first category of mental models that we should look at is cognitive biases. I start with this because being aware of your cognitive biases is a way of avoiding that you derail your entire behaviors when you're investing. You can take the concept of fear of missing out, which is effectively our need for social proofing. It's being with the crowd, being able to fit with other people. That will make us invest in an asset that everybody is buying. And that makes us behave like a herd. We're basically doing the same thing as others are doing without really knowing if it's good or bad. And you might well be buying an asset at a high price this way, which eventually you will see will come back down to earth. And when that happens, another bias kicks in, which is our aversion to loss. So we're not happy with whatever decrease that we see, and we tend to sell at the bottom of the price. So plenty of people end up doing the buying high, selling low. Now if we take the concept of value investors, those are people who understand those biases, they're aware of them, and as much as possible they're trying to ignore them, to be a bit like robots. First they look at data and probabilities for what happened in the past. They use goal setting to be very clear about their objective for investing and not doing the things that somebody else is doing. They work on root cause analysis and deep investigation about what is creating the value of certain assets and certain classes of assets. They use a hurdle rate to decide when they want to get in or out of an investment. They will invert the cognitive bias of pain avoidance into understanding that when everybody is fearful, it is a moment to invest, and when everybody is giddy and happy with the prices, it's a moment to sell. I sort of paraphrase Warren Buffett here. I'll take an extreme example, the decision to invest in Bitcoin. For some people it will look like a really risky investment and something which is totally random. For me, having looked at it over the years, I think it is behaving according to network effects and game theory. And that's the view that I have for the long-term behavior of Bitcoin. Short-term, I believe it's completely according to cognitive biases, emotions in the market, and the flux of news. Based on that, I can decide, okay, what do I do short-term? I know it's going to be a wild ride. Long-term, I think I know which curve it is going to take. Time will tell if my experimentation confirms my hypothesis. Remember that having mental models, the whole goal of it is to implement behaviors once you have made a decision. The trick here is that you still need to do what you said you would do. One of the best ways to do that is to build some habits around some of the most important mental models that you have. For instance, if you believe in the compound interest mental model and the impact it has on investment, then what you do is you save regularly. And to do that, you need to create a habit of doing that regularly. So building habits is essential. If you want to know more about how you can be very powerful at building habits, check out this video. I will leave you with a quote from Abraham Maslow, who is an American psychologist who created the hierarchy of needs. If the only tool you have is a hammer, you tend to see every problem as a nail. One aspect to get yourself moving with your decisions and making it real, making it happen, is to be highly motivated. If you want to learn more about how to unleash your motivation, check this out.